This guy is about winning championships. He came to the Dodgers to win, and his only focus this year is making his starts and helping us win again, and again growing the game too.
And I'm in love with the good life. Can't give it up. Make it to the top. Keep climbing. I wanna live it up. The good life. I'm coming up. I'm coming up. The good life. Good life. Oh, good life. Good life. Good life.
Boom! Coming in hot, Chichi. What's going on this Friday? It's going to be a good one today, brother. What's up?
It is super hot. You know what one of my favorite movies is? Doc Hollywood, Michael J. Fox. But we have a bigger, badder Doc Hollywood in town today. Who do we got?
No, we really do, man. Good friend of mine, one of the greatest men probably this game has ever seen. We all know him right now as the manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, three-time World Series champ. We're going to talk about that a little bit, too. Don't forget, this guy could play a little bit. He could fly. He could swing it a little bit, too. And coming off a World Series title 2024, let's bring him in, our man, Doc Roberts. Davey Roberts, what's up, brother? How you doing, Doc?
Oh, fellas, I'm doing great. It's good to be on with you guys, catch up, talk some baseball. But Case, I feel the same way about you, man. I loved competing against you and watching to see what you've done. And for me, I just got a soft spot for people that just love our game.
Doc, I feel the same way, brother. When I watch you do your thing, I can't tell you how people are like, dude, if you knew this guy as a human being, everyone would be a Los Angeles Dodgers fan. So I'm thrilled for you, brother, for what's going on. I want to go back to last year quickly before, we kind of move forward to what's going on in spring training. But, take us back to last year, Doc, because, it's funny. I did when I was at MLB Network, I did the Manager of the Year show. And I was like, I saw the candidates and I was thinking to myself, where's Dave Roberts here? Because if you break down this season, and we all just go, the Dodgers, their payroll and everything. You guys had more injuries last year for you to navigate and what you had to go through. And in that rotation, with Betts going down, even Freeman at the end, putting Ohtani to leadoff spot, Muncy goes down. I'm like, it was the mash unit for you guys. Can you take me back for you, Doc? I think it was the best job that you ever did as a manager, and I think it got overlooked. Can you take us back to last year, Doc, and what that was like for you, kind of navigating that situation and making sure you had to use the bullpen when you did, and great job, man. It was incredible.
Yeah, you know what? I appreciate that, Case, and I do think that it was the best job of managing I did, and you've known me for a long time, and it's not about the individual awards. I do think that the Manager of the Year is an organizational award, certainly a coaching staff award, and we got overlooked. I guess it's part of the blessing and a curse when you put this Dodger uniform on. I do think that it was a lazy look at kind of the voting part of it, but it's not personal to me. I'm still proud of what we did all year to have the best record in all of baseball given what we went through, and ultimately hoist that trophy and win that last game of the year. Pretty remarkable and something I'll remember forever.
Yeah, really remarkable, dude. Not like I want to say. I think I even said on the show, if I had a vote, I would have given it to Dave Roberts. And I think that's the same thing. It was overlooked. It was overlooked because you're the Dodgers. Sorry, that's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth. But Doc, I want to go back to the one play that will go down as a Kirk Gibson moment when Freddie hit that grand slam, Game 1 in LA. Man, what was going through your heart? What was going through your mind? And I can only imagine the adrenaline that was pumping in that stadium.
Well, it goes down as the greatest sports moment I've ever been a part of, let alone witness, firsthand. Nestor gets Shohei to pop out. We advance on a ball that gets out of play, and Verdugo throws it in play. And so at that point in time, I'm like, man, I was expecting Shohei to be Shohei and do something. And, first pitch, Freddie gets a pitch in his nitro zone, and it turns into that Kirk Gibson moment. And it's just, I don't think elation is a good enough descriptor. Yeah. And it was one of those things. It was only Game 1, but I did feel after we won that game, we had won the World Series, and it almost seemed like we celebrated after that like it was Game 7 of the World Series. But I couldn't be more happy for Freddie to have his moment etched in Dodger lore forever. And what he went through last year on the field, off the field, there's just not a better person that could have happened to.
Yeah, dude, it was incredible. I mean, for all of us baseball fans, that's a moment. I know. I remember where I was. Kirk Gibson. I had my was with my girlfriend in 8th grade. Came home that night, and I was like, "Hey, Kirk Gibson went deep." I just remember that and the emotion. I think there's so many people in life will look back at that Freddie Freeman and going, "Oh yeah, Freddie Freeman moment," and go, "This is where I was when that happened." You know?
No, Case, but this is the thing is that like when we're all young in our backyards, we were that guy going, okay, bases loaded, World Series, your favorite team, the team you're playing for, team you're playing against, and it's like 2 outs, and I hit a home run, and you're kind of walking around the backyard running around. He lived that moment. Like, it's just what every baseball kid has ever dreamt of. That really happened in real life. So again, I just so thrilled for Freddie.
How hurt was he? Like, he was really hurt, right? Was that almost shocking that he could contribute, not just contribute, but be like a star for the series?
No, but this is a guy that plays every day. He's our Lou Gehrig, and so for him to miss playoff games speak to where he was at physically, the rib, the ankle, hobbling around, and it was just one of those things that he was not going to not play in the World Series, and what he did, homering in all those consecutive games, he certainly wasn't anywhere near 100%, but he's as tough mentally as I've seen, and I wish we talked more about that with players, and certainly that's hard to quantify, where a lot of times people are talking exit velos and velocities, but just the mental toughness, the grind. Freddie's top of the food chain.
Doc, I want to stay there a little bit because I saw you talk to the team recently before spring talk started, and you were talking about, hey, the process. Let's stay with what we need to do today. What's the focus on the task at hand? You know, where you talk about Freddie Freeman and his approach. I bring it up in talking to some guys is, man, Nestor Cortez comes in. I'm pushing the cutter and the slider out. I'm looking for something middle in that I can get on top of and be on time for the heater. And I'm like, there you go. He wasn't thinking, oh, my dad's here in the second row. This could be a big moment if I homer here. I'll be a Dodger hero. He was like, okay, take a deep breath, push the cutter and the slider out, hunt the heater in, and get on top. And I want to ask you that because you talk about the mental game, Doc. You played this game, dude, and I think that brings you a lot of clout in that dugout with those guys. You know, is that a message you're telling these guys? Is like, man, if we can be great at going one pitch at a time, even though we have all this talent, that's how we're going to be great.
Absolutely. That's been my message for quite some time. And I think if you look at our track record, we win a lot of games in the regular season. We've won championships, been in the World Series 4 times. And I think that, you know, when fans watch us, opponents, other teams watch us, they see a consistency on how we go about things. And I do think that micro, one pitch at a time, love practice, love the process. Our guys do that, love the game. And so then all the noise expectations that surround being with the Dodgers, I think, is a little bit more muted. And yeah, we all want to win the World Series. We all want to get that big hit in the World Series. But, you know, you watch Freddie, Mookie, Shohei, how they prepare each day, Clayton Kershaw. That's why these guys are all going to be Hall of Famers. And, you know, it's not just the headlines or the big homer, the big punch out. It's kind of how they go. They love getting prepared. And I will say this, I was a 270 hitter, inconsistent, you know, and I wish I had that ability to just go pitch to pitch. And that's what separates the good from the great ones. And we got a lot of great ones.
Yeah, they got a lot of great ones. Don't sell yourself short, Doc. 270, you got it done, bro. I saw you line to line.
Hey, it ain't 300 like you. It's all right.
It's close though, bro. It's close. Oh man. Did you think Shohei was this good, bro?
He's won MVPs. I knew how great he was. That's pretty easy. I just didn't appreciate how detail-oriented he was with the tee having to be the exact height when he starts his work. The distance from the pitcher in the cage, from the L screen, the flips, has to be the precise distance. The amount of swings he takes, how he takes care of his body, how he prepares. and he stole 50 bases last year, working with Clayton McCullough and working on pitchers' tells and his jumps and leads. I'm fascinated to see how now he's a two-way player, watching him pitch and be a top of the rotation guy, managing his rehab, and still going out there and expect to be one of the top pitchers and hitters in the game. So I think for me, under the hood, I just didn't really know what to expect, and he's really smart. He speaks much better English than he puts forth. He's a practical joker, but obviously he's an uber competitor.
Ah, well, it's incredible watching him go 50-50, Doc. I'm like, okay, this guy's one of the best hitters in the game. He's made himself that way. He gets better every year. He's top 5 in Cy Young every year. But when he went 50-50 last year, it just made me think, wow, if he just did one thing, he's doing stuff that we've never ever seen in the game. And I'm sure you getting a chance to watch him every day is incredible. I want to know, are you getting a chance now, Doc, even though he's rehabbing? I always think, and too, bro, how hard it is to be just a hitter. Like, to be a left-handed hitter was so hard. I had all these routines. My mind was a mess. All this stuff, trying to lock it in every single day. I can't imagine being a starting pitcher, too, with the routines that they have to go through. When you watch Shohei do that now that you're getting to see the pitching side, how does he navigate that?
You know what? I don't know. I think it certainly comes with his head, and I say head because he's been a superstar for a long time. He's got the weight of a country on his shoulders. He's had that for quite some time, and so he has really understood how to compartmentalize, how to deal with it. I think that you talked about you're a high intensity guy. You've always been high energy guy. He does a very good job of controlling whatever emotions and channeling it in the right way. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he gets anxiety because, we have anxiety when you have certain expectations, but when you have the expectation to be the best player of all time, how he managed it, I don't know, Case. And like I said, we're going to go to Japan here and play the Cubs in March, and this guy is like the Beatles. And now when you're talking about social media, he's everywhere. And so I just don't know how he managed it and still goes out there and performs at an elite level.
Yeah. But he still gets the social. He gets who he is, though, right? I mean, he gave you a toy Porsche that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Like, he seems to understand whatever he says and whatever he does is under not just a microscope here, but he's the face of a nation, and he just seems to be very cool at all of it.
One of the things that I said this years ago, he participated in one of those All-Star games. I think it was in Cleveland. He started that game for the American League as a pitcher, and he participated in the home run derby. And that right there, for me, from the other side, spoke volumes about who this man is, because he understands his responsibility to grow this game. And the game needed him in the home run derby. And he probably didn't want to do it, but did it for the greater good. And that's something for me is that's just unique, because there's a lot of self-promotion in our world, which is fine, I guess. But this guy is about winning championships. He came to the Dodgers to win, and his only focus this year is making his starts and helping us win again. And again, growing the game, too.
Doc, you talked about going to Japan, which is an experience. I was fortunate enough in 2008 to open up in Tokyo with the Red Sox, and I was amazed at how popular baseball is there, and they're cheering every time guys come up. It was pretty incredible. But you now have the 3 top pitchers in Japanese baseball in your rotation for the Dodgers, and we saw Yamamoto last year, and we've obviously seen Ohtani. Sasaki is a guy that is fascinating for all of us. What have you seen from him so far at camp, and what are you looking forward to, watching him every single start out there?
I'm excited. We all are. He's certainly not a finished product. He's young. He hasn't thrown a lot of professional innings. He's going to get more physical, but the fastball is real. He had a live session the other day. It was 95, 96. He'll get up upper 80, upper 90s, touch 100. There's a death split that he's got. He's got a couple different breaking balls. What I've seen from him, very observant, watches a lot, listens a lot. He's already building that trust with the coaching staff, which is great. I saw him the other day in our game in the dugout talking to Blake Snell about some things, which is really, as a manager, very exciting. But I think that, just kind of get familiar with Major League Baseball, the hitters, and how his stuff plays. We had this last year with Yoshinobu, and he's much further along than he was last year, this year than he was last year, and obviously the comfort level. He's got to just get the repetitions, because you can talk, but the pitchers need to get out there and see how Major League hitters respond to his stuff. But he's a good one, Case.
Yeah, it's going to be impressive, man. It must be fun to look down and say, oh, who am I going to choose from today? It's like going into the cookie. You got Oreo, your cookies, all these different. Oh, what am I eating today? He's like,
a lot of different good choices of cookies.
Exactly, dude. It's just incredible. It's incredible. Doc, I'm interested to see, as a manager, bro. I got this first question is, you go back years ago now. It's almost been 10 years. You've obviously been the manager of the Dodgers. And what's the difference, dude? When you first got in the league, what was the hardest part about being a manager, and what is a lot easier now that you've won a couple titles and the game is different? What is it? What is it about being a manager now that was different when you first came in?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a wide-ranging question. I think what's different is. Well, I think what's different is that there's a lot of, when you manage in the big leagues, it's a big responsibility. There's front office, there's coaches, there's players, there's media twice a day. And I think that kind of the players now are very different and manage and need to be managed different, which is great. I think that me trying to learn the organization, the players that we had, build a culture, trying to figure out also who you are as a manager. Right. Now I can look back and go, okay, I feel good with who I am. Still trying to get better each year. I thought last year, like you said, I thought I managed the best I've ever managed, and I think I'm getting better with experience. And also, I think the last part, Case, is I've built the trust with the organization that decisions I make were aligned, and they understand how I think and my process, the coach's process. And so for me, I'm fortunate because we've kept a lot of our core players around, so there's trust both ways. And so I can, leave Blake Trinan in for 50 pitches, or pitch Michael Kopech in the fourth inning of a division series, and no one bats an eye. And I can hit Tommy Edman fourth in a CS and hit him ninth the next night. And so it's still the right decision in the player's eyes, which is really important. Just kind of always trying to make it about the players, not take things personal. I think early on, you have a tendency as a young manager to kind of go down rabbit holes on social media, which I don't do social media now, listen to the media, and it kind of blurs your decision making. And I think that you get more assured of yourself, certainly with more experience.
Yeah, man. Well, dude, it's been amazing to see your evolution as a manager, and and how you've done. I was fortunate enough to get in the game a little bit in 23 when I came back with the Yankees and Booney, and was in the mix of being that hitting coach and putting together meetings. And I was like, wow, there's a lot going on here. And I would watch Booney have to meet with the pitching staff, then meet with me, and then meet with the media and all that stuff. And I know you go through that, Doc. And I guess when I look at that too, with your rotation of how deep it is, how many guys that you have, and then obviously your bullpen, the guys that you have out there too. And I think we get so fascinated at times, like, you just got to bring the bullpen in earlier, and these pitchers can't go around 3 times in the rotation now, and all that. How do you navigate that, Doc? Like, when you get the analytics before the game and they say, hey, listen, if this matchup shows up in the 7th, we're going to go to that. Like, how do you navigate that, saying, you know what, we're not going to that right now. We're going we're going to skip that.
I think it's about, again, it's the trust that I have with the front office, and appreciating the fact that baseball is played by humans.
Yep.
The analytics, the numbers, the data, whatever you want to call it, certainly have a place, and you have to use it. But also, you got to use your eyes. You got to, part of the manager is you got to know your players and what they can't do. Use your coaches. I think that we live in a world now where there's not enough accountability, and
Right.
people
So
that have a lot of that have a platform or a voice, they don't have all the information, and that's kind of part of it. But have a platform to sound off, and when things don't go well, the managers take the brunt of it, and we got to be accountable. But no one knows their clubs more than the managers and the organization, and no one wants to win more than the managers and the organization, right? I think that there's a time case to push guys. There's a time to, go against the grain, against the book. There's times though that, the third time through for so-and-so really hasn't the guy hasn't fared well, and you have enough sample to see that. But sometimes you got to kind of make him wear it and see if he can grow in that spot. And other times you got to protect him from himself when you got guys in the pen ready to go. So there's a lot of workload, managing, matchup managing, trying to instill trust in your starters that you do believe in them, but there's also maybe another better option in the pen. So there's a lot of that goes on, and whatever decision we make, we got to be willing to deal with the fallout, good or bad, and that's part of my job.
Love that, man. I absolutely love that. Now, here's another decision. I just think it's fascinating to me of how good of an athlete this guy is. You could take a Gold Glove right fielder and Mookie Betts and say, hey, you want to play short? I mean, Doc, you know how hard it is to go infield to outfield to infield and just navigate that. But shortstop, dude, that's a different animal. If you don't have a good shortstop and a solid shortstop, you win up the middle. Tell me why Mookie you feel like is the guy, for that job, and you feel like, hey, go ahead and take it.
Well, first off, he's just another 80 teammate.
Yeah.
Obviously, a future Hall of Famer. There isn't a guy that you can pull from right field and say, hey, go play Major League shortstop. Mookie did that. Yeah, that just doesn't happen. He is a unicorn himself. He did that for us last year as we moved Gavin Lux over to second base, and Mookie did that without complaining and took it as a challenge. I think if you look at why we're doing this this year, two things. I think one, because Mookie really wants to take on this challenge to be a great shortstop, which I believe he can be and will be. And number two, it just allows for options building a roster. And so if Mookie Betts can play shortstop and man that gave us the opportunity to sign Michael Conforto and Teoscar Hernandez. So it just collectively, net sum, makes our roster a lot better to have an offensive shortstop. So, Tommy Edman, Miguel Rojas played short for us last year. Very sure-handed, but to have a guy that can have a bat and then kick Tommy to the outfield or second base just makes the Dodgers better.
Yeah. Well, Doc, man, I tell you what, I'm so excited to see what you guys do this year again, going for another title. And it seems like you got the team to do it, but you got the leader in you to do it, man. And very grateful for your time today, brother. I know you're a busy man out there in spring training. Hopefully I'll see you at some point, dude, but it's just great to see you, great to catch up. And thanks for your time, my man.
All right, fellas. Thank you guys for having me on. I just love chatting with you guys. You guys are awesome.
Have a great year.
All right, guys.